All right, we're live, man.
Oh shit.
How you doing? So check it out, dude. Meta
Good.
glasses.
Meta glasses. Awesome. What
Yeah,
got you to buy those? You're just thinking about it?
my wife bought them.
Nice.
She was up in Minnesota. They don't sell them here in Mexico.
What?
She was,
That's
yeah,
fucking
no,
criminal.
it is criminal, and the AI portion doesn't work here in Mexico. So I actually booked a flight to go see my friend Bobby in where the fuck am I going? Phoenix.
Sturgis or something?
No, Phoenix for a weekend, so that I can get these things to work with the AI.
Oh, you have to like get them programmed or something?
They don't work. The AI portion doesn't work in Mexico.
Oh, like the actual
But if I
communication
register it, so
piece.
yeah, so if I deregister it and then register it while I'm in the U.S., and you think like a VPN you'd be able to do it, but nope, doesn't
No.
work.
No tomfoolery, huh?
Yeah. Do you want me to record us recording each other
I mean, that'd be
with the recording?
really weird to see what that looks like.
I'll post the video of
It
it. All I
would
have to
be
say
like
is,
in the Matrix then, basically.
yeah. So check it out. I'll say, hey Meta, capture this. You see the
And
blinking
I
light
can't
now?
even tell it's doing anything.
Hey Meta, capture this.
I know that was like oh, it
Do you see?
does do something. Yep, it flashed.
Yeah.
Okay.
So right now I'm recording us, recording us, recording us
Interesting.
with the recording.
Yeah. That's crazy because what was it, Google Glass was a thing like 15 years ago and that got shut down. Now apparently we gave up
They
on
dropped it like
privacy.
they, they dropped it like 2 years ago. Well,
We
this
gave
this blinky light thing is supposed to, let people know that I'm recording.
right. But
Yeah.
what that's bullshit. But
Yeah, it's
yeah.
sort of bullshit. Did you catch last week?
No, I was actually sleepy and doing something, so I did not get last week. I
Yes. So last week we were talking about tech gifts. You know what I mean? Getting tech gifts for
oh
Christmas, and then how do you secure some of those tech gifts, and dealing with the risks. And here you
okay.
go. I got one.
You're like all in on meta now. You got the
Yeah.
VR, the glasses. Shit,
Of
yeah.
that. So those are the transition lenses too. So like if I was
Oh,
outside in the sun,
fuck, that's cool as hell.
you think
Can
I'm
you
not
get them
cool
in
as hell, dude?
prescription too?
Yeah,
Damn.
I know. Yeah. If you have the AI portion working for you, you can, like look at a dog and ask, hey
How
Meta,
are you feeling?
no, you can ask, hey Meta, what kind of dog is this?
Oh, nice.
It does a fairly good job because Marlis, my wife, she bought a pair too, and but she registered hers in the U.S., so she has the AI piece.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
So she was telling you about all the cool stuff. Now you want to go back and turn it on.
I am going to go back and turn it on. Yep.
Nice.
Yeah. The last thing you want for a tech guy is to not have something that.
I
And I
need
suppose I
all the
could.
features, man. Give it to me.
Yeah. If I had more time or more interest, I guess you could try to hack it. But
Is there like any sort of like file system like on the screen or like scrolly
no,
things? Like it's
no,
just all talk.
it's all talk. Yeah, nothing in the display. No heads up display.
Hmm.
So how you doing? How was your New Year's?
My New Year's is pretty boring. Well, boring as in good, right? I'm on call this week, so it was pretty quiet, which is good.
On call? That
Yep,
sucks.
yep. I was just hanging around, watched the thing on the TV with the fireworks in North Carolina or something. They had them on TV,
Yeah.
so saw that and some Netflix and went to bed. How about you? Were you here? You were here, right?
Dude,
Hanging
I
out with
don't
the
remember.
dogs.
Yeah, I was in Mexico. I don't remember. I think I was in bed probably 10 o'clock.
It's not really
You know.
exciting if you don't drink and party.
Well, but the excitement I do get when I drink and party is not the kind of excitement I want.
Yeah,
You know
not
what I mean?
anymore,
It's
right?
it's some bad shit. But all right, so this is episode 16, and this is the second time you're on because now you've become, what do we call it? Like a co-host, sidekick, something.
That'd just be your spirit animal.
Spirit animal. All right. I mean,
Is that a
in Puerto
thing?
Vallarta,
Could
I
I be
think in
your
Puerto
spirit
Vallarta
animal?
it probably is.
All right, cool.
Down in Zona Romantica, they call me Oso down there.
Yeah, they
Oso is
like you down
bear.
there.
They do like me. So Marlis bought me a shirt. They do. They really do like me, man. I would have no problem getting myself some man down there. But and for the listeners, this is not at all politically correct, but that's not how I roll anyway. I was I like people. I mean, I don't like people, but I think people are interesting. So, and I don't judge, So I was getting to know some, you call them gay, I think gay people. And, where I come from, I didn't have a lot of exposure to gay people. And so I was asking questions like, what's this? What's that? What do you guys do? And I was like, damn, this, you actually guys live a
There's a
pretty
lot of shit
fast,
going on.
yeah, pretty fun. I actually, and so I said to him, and I didn't check myself before I wrecked myself, but that I said, what did I say? I said, oh, I think I'd make a really good gay person if I didn't like pussy so much. And yeah, they laughed and they're like, yeah, that's kind of a disqualifier.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
You can come to the party, you just can't partake.
well, and I said, if things change, like something changes down the road, man, I know where to come. I'll come hang out with you guys. So that was good. All right, so that was a sidetrack a little bit. So tonight we're talking about. I wrote a blog post recently. The top 10 cybersecurity stories of 2024, because I don't know if you knew this, but 2024 is behind us now.
Well, actually, I don't know because apparently I put out a LinkedIn post for the ISSA meeting I'm having, and I
Yeah,
put January 2024. Like, oh,
that's so
someone
classic though.
commented like we're
Everybody
living
does
in the
that.
past.
Do you remember? Are you old enough to remember when you had to write checks?
I remember having to write them. I just never did because even in the military, everything was direct deposit, so I like hardly ever wrote checks.
Because like when the writing checks was like a classic time when you miss the date. You know what I mean? And then the bank wouldn't be able to cash your stuff, and
Got to rewrite
yeah,
one, redo the
yeah.
book, void it.
I guess that's one advantage to technology now. The dates kind of update your stuff, themselves. Because I don't remember the last time I miswrote a date. I mean, you just did it, so.
Yeah. Well, I didn't
And that
write
was
it
with,
technically.
and that was with technology, man.
Yes, with I mean it was pretty hard to do that. So I have to ask you a question
All right.
because the list you sent over, the things you want to talk about, a bunch of
Mm-hmm.
them I don't even remember happening. Did you
That's the
remember
cool
all of
thing.
these off the top of your head, or did you research them?
Now, this blog post, so for listeners later or live, if you go to my website, evanfrancine.com, you'll find the blog post that we're talking about. Now, every year I say I'm going to write one of these, and for some number of years I have. Some years I forget. Some years I'm just like too tired. But it takes a long time to write a post like this because you do have to like look back, like what the fuck happened last year, and you go through emails, your news feeds that you've been watching over the last year. Talk to friends. Use a bunch of sources. Actually, and I did use ChatGPT a little bit to like remind me of like what the fuck happened last year. So it takes a long time actually to write a post because I forgot about a lot of these until I sat down and actually focused on it.
Well, that's
Was
cool
there
that
anything in my top 10 list that you didn't even know happened?
yes, actually.
Which one?
Um, where is it? Can't remember that one company. IronNet. Never heard of them.
Yeah, that one flew under the radar
I'm
a little
like,
bit.
where the hell was I? Like, with how much I get bombarded with sales or the few conferences I went to or all the influencers, never heard of them. But then you go to their website and they're like, oh, we're the leading blah, 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 whatever the fuck they are.
Yeah, no, they were full of shit from the get-go. I think the only reason why they were just so well connected,
Seems like
especially
money
Keith
laundering.
Alexander, because Keith Alexander was the former NSA director, and he was, Yeah, just super well connected. Everybody kind of had heard of him, knew of him, something. And with all those connections, and then he brought in a whole bunch of government guys too. And the problem is they were all well connected government guys, but none of them knew how to do business. They sucked at business.
Hmm.
And I think there was so much ego in the room with that company that I can only imagine what it would have been like to be in one of their meetings.
Trying to make a decision, like
Oh,
good
it would have been
fucking
like,
luck.
well, I look at my dick. You're like, oh, that's nice. You know, I mean, it would all be just posturing bullshit.
I mean, like it's crazy how much venture money they raise, and then they just don't.
Yeah,
How do you
$3 billion.
not do any? How do you not do anything with the money? That's got to be like negligent on some sort of like business
Yeah.
law or something. I don't know.
There were or still are some lawsuits surrounding that for that same reason. Like, what the hell did you do? How did you destroy, especially in this market, when you have this information security or cybersecurity market the way it is? When you look at the market today, the total addressable market, when you take all the way from small to mid-sized business up to enterprise, I would say maybe 10% of the total addressable market is saturated for consulting services. So it means 90% of the market is dangling out there. And people struggle with trying to get, I think, a lot of these customers. And I think it's because they're not
Do you think?
approaching it right. You need three things: trust, credibility, and likability. If you have those three things, you will get a customer.
Do you think those people, those 90%, actually want someone to help them, or since there really is no regulation around any of this, you can argue that there is, but it's all just flapping their gums that they don't see a
Right.
need for it.
Yeah, I think a lot of them don't see a need for it. They see it as a cost center. I think we've fucked it up so long in our industry that they don't see a benefit to it. When you think about, well, I've got to make payroll, am I going to make payroll this month?
Yeah, it's more important for sure.
Well, and that's the lack of logic. It's not more important. They're both important. So how do you accommodate both of them? When you walk in, I'll give you an example, like as a CISO. Well, 2 points I'll make. Number one is, in all the businesses that you see or that you can think of, which one of them doesn't need information security leadership? I mean, the answer is they all do. So whether they recognize that need or don't, that leads us to the second thing. Why might they not recognize that need? I think a lot of
Shitty
times you have to talk to
consulting.
them. Yeah, you have to talk to them in their language. And if I can't, the misconception is that information security is purely a cost center, that there's no value to my business. It's only protecting me against bad things happening. It'll never happen to me. That all that bullshit. The fact of the matter is this is just good business, right? And I'll give you an example. If complexity is the worst enemy of cybersecurity, which it is, right? Complexity is the worst enemy of cybersecurity. Then the logic would tell you, well, then simplicity, efficiency, those are all allies
Hmm.
to cybersecurity. So if I'm a good information security consultant, even in a small to mid-sized business, I should be able to offset the cost that I'm charging that business
By getting rid of the
with
shit.
the value I'm bringing to the business. And so, I think it's shitty consulting. And I think, especially when you take something from like IronNet, information security and cybersecurity in the federal government ain't the same. In the
Uh,
private sector, man, it's not even close.
I was thinking about that today, thinking about the complexity thing. Like in the private sector, we can't even get IT teams to work together, much less work with the business. Now you're
Right.
talking about having different government factions. I'll call them factions because they're definitely not
Right.
trying to do the same thing. Trying to get them to work together.
Right.
Fuck out of here.
I know.
Yeah.
And you were a military guy. I mean, you spent
Yeah.
time in the Corps. The way they do security in the Marine Corps is sort of like the way they do information security in like the NSA or other government agencies like that. You've got a lot of government agencies in the federal government that don't know shit, don't do shit about information security, right? But when you're talking about the former director of NSA, what the fuck does he know about small to mid-sized business? What the fuck does he know about business at all?
Yeah, he didn't manage no budget or nothing. He was just a decision maker, right?
I mean, what do you know about efficiency? What do you know about simplicity? I mean, when did you use simplicity and government in the same sentence?
Yeah, that sentence self implodes if you do that.
Yeah, and that's what you saw with IronNet. You saw it implode. I think some of it might have been just they might have known a shitload about security stuff, different types of technologies that are really cool and everything, but that's not what makes business work.
So I took a look at their website, and it kind
Mm-hmm.
of, I went down this.
And for the listeners, this is number 9 on the list of the top 10 stories of 2024. So once we're done with this one, we'll roll back up to number 1.
I went down this conspiracy theory of like what IronNet was trying to do, since it was created by all these government factions. They call it IronNet. They're calling it a dome. It almost seems like they want to collect data from the private sector and roll it up and have it all managed on a military level, which is just not possible. I don't think you need to work
Right.
together, not for them.
Well, that exactly, man. I mean, it's just because you were successful in the federal government. And I don't know where Keith Alexander is today, but yeah, that's a shit show. Because it was founded in 2014, so it did make it 10 years. I'm surprised it made it that long.
To be honest, I've never heard of it with it being around that fucking long.
Well, it's because you weren't in that circle, man. You know, they're not
the VC circle. So let me ask you a question then about the whole like they pretty much stole a whole bunch of money. Basically, is how I look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the victim here? The venture capitalists that are just throwing money around like fucking nothing, or the retired government people that didn't make a lot of money that are trying to cash out?
I think who failed was anybody who bought into their bullshit. I think anybody who, thought that this was just because, you don't buy information security services from somebody just because, they have a bunch of letters after their names or because, they were, Jesus in the federal government. I mean, how does that translate to me, to my business? How's it going to make me more money? Because at the end of the day, I want to make more money. That's why I'm in business. So I think there were just a lot of people that were kind of fooled. Business. No, man. I mean, in terms of, so I think you had the losers, I think their customers were probably losers. And that's why they struggled to get more customers and stay afloat, because eventually that'll catch up to you. I think they fucked over their investors. They had their Series A funding in 2015. So this is not even a year into them starting IronNet. They raised $32.5 million in their Series A funding.
Is that a lot for Series A?
For Series A, yeah. I mean, a year in, unless you've got something tangible, unless you've got something, some intellectual property that's, something like a patent or two. Because you have to support that. Why is this worth $32.5 million? The two ways to support it really are our financials support it, right? We've got enough monthly recurring revenue and the growth trend looks like this. But, if you're a year in, you're not going to be, getting money on that. You're going to be getting money on this grand promise, this, bullshit, really. Then they got another 78 million in 2018. They went public in 2021. I don't know how the hell what the hell?
It was COVID. No one was paying attention.
They went public in 2021 with a merger and had a valuation that exceeded $3 billion. So that was their peak in terms of the value of that company. 2021, $3 billion to gone this last year.
Fucking crazy.
Yeah. So that's why I made my list. I thought it was really interesting how, there's a lot of that. There's so much bullshit in our industry. And this was a bullshit I mean, this collective defense platform. It's, I mean,
Threat defense.
yeah,
The Iron
it,
Dome.
it wasn't anything that you couldn't do with a little bit of ingenuity and some open source tools, really. Definitely not worth $3 billion. So thank God I didn't invest in that.
I saw one of the articles. I guess they got hit with the SEC too because
Oh, yeah.
they were claiming they were having contracts for like 5 mil, but when they looked on the other side, it was only like 500K. So they were like forging their own numbers.
Yep. Yeah, they had a whole bunch of financial struggles. Their product really was kind of shit. Their leadership was kind of shit. I mean, there really wasn't much good there. So the fact that it kind of lasted as long as it did and it attracted as much money as it did was all because of the players. Yeah,
Yeah.
nuts. All right, so number one
All
on
right,
the
number
list that I
one.
had, Salt Typhoon. Their infiltration of U.S. telecommunications was number one on my top 10 list of 2024's cybersecurity stories.
Just saw the news. AT&T and Verizon said everything's safe. Everything's clear. That's what they said.
Sure. Yep. Well, there you go. We're done. Not even a story anymore. Yeah.
This isn't
Well,
the
and
first time though, and it's not gonna be the last time either.
here's the bullshit, man. I mean, there's so much bullshit. It's like sometimes you don't even know where to start, right? So Salt Typhoon is the newest name of the same group. So
Yeah.
Salt Typhoon was also known as Ghost Emperor, also known as Famous Sparrow, and also known as UNC 2286. So it's like, this isn't new. I mean, it's new that you found out about it, and it's new that you found out, like, holy shit, this actually affects a large portion of the entire U.S. telecommunications infrastructure. Yeah, that's news. But and the APTs that they use, their TTPs, if you don't, for
It's all the
listeners,
same.
that's tactics, techniques, and procedures. There's nothing
It doesn't
super
change.
crazy here. No.
No. It's always the same because it always works.
Uh-huh. It always and it'll continue to work until we get our shit together. The reason why this made the list was just the expanse of this penetration, I guess you could call it. Penetrations. I mean, you're talking AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, Lumen Technologies, all the big ones. Did I say T-Mobile already?
Yep.
Yeah, T-Mobile, Verizon. Yeah,
Well,
big ones.
so I was thinking on this one too, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you're saying we need to get our shit together, but
Yeah,
it almost feels like someone somewhere doesn't want us to get our shit together. And it's really confusing because we kind of gave up on privacy because we just give data away like it's fucking nothing. But companies make so much money off of our data, but
right.
we're basically conditioned now. Oh, I got breached again. Who cares about my data? So I'm basically me physically worthless, but my data is worth so much money. But we still have so much breaches. So how does that even balance out?
Well,
It's like illogical.
illogical. Well, it depends on who the adversary is. It depends, really the two biggest, the two, I guess, most prominent motivators for attackers today are money motivation and nation state. And sometimes those two overlap and they mix, right?
Hmm.
Uh, so there's still money to be made on, privacy stuff, probably healthcare more than anything else. I mean, your social security numbers, shit like that. And I get that people say that, well, privacy is gone. The sad thing about that is you can still get it back, which is because when you say it's gone, it's like people have given up. It's like, well,
Hmm.
fuck it. It's gone.
Yep.
My social security's numbers out there. Why even care? Why even give a shit? And if I was an attacker, if I was an adversary, what better person to attack than somebody who doesn't give a shit?
Which is
I'm gonna take everything you have, everything about you, and you won't even exist anymore because I got it all. And so that's where you don't want to go. And if you want to know how to fix it, once data's gone, once data's out there, you can never get it back. That's not the point. The point is make the data that they have useless. And the way you do that is you change it. So yes, you do have my social security number, but I changed my social security number. So the social security number you had no longer is tied to my identity. This whole system, the social security, and maybe we'll do a podcast
I
episode
didn't even
about
know you
this.
could change your number. That's interesting.
Well, you can, but you can't. I mean, it's
Probably hard for sure.
oh yeah, forget about it.
I was involved in the
wouldn't try
OPM
it.
breach.
But
I should
but
be
here's
able
the
to change my shit. Fuck that.
but here's like the fraud in my identity being tied to a social security number and then me being responsible for keeping that shit secret. I mean, one, I never chose the damn number. I never asked for the damn number. I didn't have a choice. I got the damn number regardless.
Mm-hmm.
And then the way people use my number, to
Not
track
the
my
right
financial payment history. No, it's not meant for any of that bullshit.
Last four, yeah, all over the place.
And so, and then when it gets compromised, whose responsibility is it to get it back? Mine. How the fuck am I getting screwed on this?
Yes, total fuckery.
You lost my shit. Why the hell am I fixing it? So
That's
yeah, there's a
whole
lot
nother
to change.
conversation.
Well, yeah, and it is a big conversation, but I think it's one that we have to have because we don't want people to be, I don't give a shit. You should give a shit. It's your fucking data.
Mm-hmm.
And don't lay over and just say, well, I give up. It's all yours.
But
What?
it goes back to the whole pain thing you've said a bunch of times. Like, if your credit card gets swiped, like, you don't feel any pain. You don't feel immediate pain. Like, inflation, right. Credit prices. So, like, example, right? I had this shit at Christmas. I was pissed. I went to buy a gift card, Visa gift card. Bought some last year. $50 gift card, pay $52 with tax, whatever. This year, go to buy a $50 gift card. There's a fucking $10 fee on top of it, plus taxes, because they're trying to fight the gift card fraud. So you don't immediately feel it, but down the line, we're still fucking paying for it.
Well, and why is it my job to fight gift card fraud?
Yeah, it's not.
That's your job. You designed the damn system. Why the hell am I responsible for securing it?
If you can't protect it, get rid of gift cards.
Right.
We don't need them. This is something that was introduced a couple of years ago.
Yeah, 100%, man. And if there's one common theme, I think through all 10 of the top 10 stories in 2024, it's lack of accountability. Still, nobody's taking accountability for this. You know what I mean? Like, what's actually going to happen? So you've got AT&T, Verizon. I mean, shit, I'm an AT&T customer. And in this attack, you find out that
their stock is going up.
Right. And in this attack, you find out that every single thing about me over the last 2-3 years was exfiltrated by the attackers. That means it's in the hands of Chinese fucking nationals. And what recourse do I have for this? Nothing. I can choose not to do business with AT&T anymore. Okay, let's go to T-Mobile. Oh, look, you're fucked too.
Yep.
All right, screw T-Mobile. I'll go to Verizon. Nope, you're screwed too. And why are all these guys screwed? Because they all follow the same bullshit. There's sharing of data between, the simple attack sequence, without the details is the same as it's always been since I started hacking shit myself. You find a vulnerability, you find a vulnerability, compromise the vulnerability, which then gets you a foothold into the system, elevate your privileges, right? Establish persistence, pivot. These are all just phases of the attack sequence. Same shit. Ain't nothing new here. Mm-hmm. There's new names and the code is different, right? Advanced malware. It's just malware is malware. It's just whatever. So anyway, Salt Typhoon pissed me off because in the U.S. government, they described it as, quote unquote, the largest telecommunications hack in our nation's history.
Cool. Now, what are you doing about it?
Bingo. What are you
Except
doing?
spending more fucking money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tell me
And it was a
something better.
huge espionage campaign, man. I mean, it affected so many people. And this particular attack, even though you may have, AT&T might say, well, we're back to normal. They're not in our systems anymore. I would debate that,
I
but
doubt it.
also, right. But
They
the
have so
damage
much
is already,
infrastructure, you're not gonna find.
and the damage is already done. So, okay, great. Am I supposed to trust you now? Do I have a choice? I mean, where do I go for my cell phone service?
Right. You don't.
Or do I just,
That's what's fucked is we don't have a choice at that point.
right. Yeah, it's screwy. So number 2 on my list was CrowdStrike. Of course, we had to mention the CrowdStrike.
Can't forget that. That
That,
was an interesting one.
oh,
I got woken up at like 5 in the morning that day. I was like groggy. Like, hey, the world is broken. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? That's not possible.
yeah.
Apparently it is. Learn
And I
some
don't use
things.
Crowd in my own architecture. So I'm pretty much separate from the businesses that I own/run now because I just do a lot of weird shit. It's not, there's no benefit to me being connected up to beyond email,
Right.
communications. So yeah, when CrowdStrike hit, I didn't know about it. Actually, my wife told me. I got up in the morning and my wife is, did you hear what happened with CrowdStrike? I'm like, I haven't even looked at my phone yet. Why? What's up? And I look at my phone. I'm like, whoa, fuck. It didn't affect me because I'm all Mac and Linux,
Yep.
so no effect to me. But yeah, as you started reading more about it, and you're like, holy shit. And then you saw George Kurtz, that's CEO, saw his initial, I guess, his initial announcements about it. It was like, man, they're already trying to cover their asses.
So
But
you
they
did
gave up
learn.
on the ass covering really quick when they realized like there's no way in hell we can spin this.
Yeah, it was too big.
Yeah.
And it's funny. Even out in like the public with the normies, a lot of them think it was a Windows problem. And then like I gotta like bite my tongue and not go like all geek out. And I'm like, no, it wasn't Windows. Like, okay, yeah, fine, it's Windows, whatever.
Well, I mean, and to some extent,
It kind
I
of
mean,
is, but
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, Windows is a shit architecture, you know.
But I mean, did learn something from this. So I haven't been around since like the beginning of antivirus and stuff. So I don't know
Mhm.
how all that stuff has like matured and changed over time.
You didn't know
But
John McAfee?
nope. I just
Mhm.
know that there's AV and then there's an EDR, right? You fucking got your updates. With the old AV, you'd have to download it and update it. With the EDR things, it kind of like you update your agent and it just works. Didn't really know about this whole thing called a channel file and how they basically update that whenever they want, as many times as they want during the day,
Mhm.
in order to maintain that real time protection.
And how many
So,
other places in your environment do you have this type of communication going on that you don't know about?
oh yeah, probably most of the stuff nowadays run like that
Yeah,
because
and
you want
which leaves
instantaneous.
and it leaves you so exposed, right? I mean, and this was a perfect case in point. 8.5 million Windows systems go tits up, right? Blue screen, boot loop, not working, and you're not going to get them back either without doing manual work. I mean, it's system by system by system. There was no way to just deploy a patch because the system couldn't boot.
Yep.
So it costs, I think, at the end of the day, estimated financial damages at least $10 billion.
And their stock is already recovered.
Oh yeah,
So,
yeah. I mean, there's no accountability whatsoever.
yeah.
So you just cost aviation, healthcare, finance, media, all these industries. You just cost them $10 billion. Not to mention the cost of people's inconvenience.
Yep.
I mean, let's talk about the
Weeks.
people.
Yeah. Oh,
It,
you
it was
know,
July 2024, wasn't it? Right around,
July 24th. Yep.
yeah. So people were traveling and they can't get home.
So I went down a rabbit hole on this one too. Was this intentional or was it a reaction? Because when you look at the code, it was like a null pointer. Like, how the fuck does that even make it through QA? Like, that just doesn't make sense.
I think what you found out was there was no QA.
I like the conspiracy side better.
No, it might. I mean, there could be something to that too, but
Like, so how do you do a worldwide tabletop DR drill? You use a tool like this that's resilient to survive. Plus, you can make money off the stock. Or the other side, there was some nation state thing going on, and they just had to shut shit down, so they broke it.
well, I mean, I haven't seen any evidence to support that. I'm not saying it
No,
couldn't
of
be
course
true.
there isn't. But yeah, that's where my brain goes. But
Yeah,
bad code.
but assuming that what we know about this is, yeah, it was a bad update that wasn't properly tested, and and it's not like you needed to like. Sometimes there are exception errors and things like exceptions, like okay, given this like really unique environment, unique set of circumstances that causes one system to fail out of 10,000. You expect that shit to get through QA. What
Hmm.
you never expect is like an update that fucks everybody.
So they had like a
How did you
whole.
miss that?
They released a new feature that was supposed to like expand their array to like 25 because they're adding a new something something, and they
Mm-hmm.
didn't take into account that they were only using 24 of them, and somehow something happened and it pointed to 25, which was empty because they're slowly rolling out the feature, and that's why it crashed.
Even if that were possibly true, you test on things that replicate your production, what you expect to see in the production environment. And that's where you start with your QA process. Like a standard production environment looks like this. How does this shit function in that production environment? And then you start taking exceptions. Like, okay, what happens if this system is missing these patches? You know what I mean? You play it all together, but in this case, it was complete fucking negligence. You deployed an update that obviously either there is no QA process, which isn't true. There is a QA process. This one just didn't go through the QA process. So you essentially had somebody who bypassed your normal deployment and fucked everybody. And at the end of the day, so two things: negligent, right? Which means you're at fault.
Mm-hmm.
$10 billion you cost all these places. Not to mention what you caused in terms of disruption to individual people.
Yep.
Why aren't you fucking paying for it?
Well, I
I
think
mean,
we
if
know why, but
I know, but that's the bullshit. That's why this
yeah,
industry is as fucked as it is, because until we start holding people accountable, you're
yeah,
going to
no,
continue to have shit
yeah,
like this.
they're not going to take it serious.
The benefits in cutting corners exceed the consequences for cutting corners.
We just need a new policy, a new legislation that's going to do nothing. That's what we need.
You need the legal
Hold
community
back.
to get their you need the legal community to get their head out of their ass and
Well, they
start.
get so much money going through any of the cases that fucking don't go anywhere. They don't
It's
care
so
either.
true, so true. All right. So
Uh,
anyway, CrowdStrike is the largest event that I know of in terms of scope and cost caused by the good guys,
Zero
quote
cool,
unquote good
man.
guys. No, and zero consequences. CrowdStrike, George Kurtz is still racing his
Race
car
cars.
and loving life. Still, yeah. So that pisses me off. This next one pisses me off too, actually. So number 3 is the Change Healthcare ransomware attack.
That was big. Yep.
And I
They
don't
paid,
understand.
right?
They paid the ransom, but that didn't stop. We've known this for the
I
last
thought federal
18
government
months.
says you're a criminal if you pay.
Well, there's that piece. But when you're as big as, because Change Healthcare is owned by United Health Group,
Yeah.
right? Uh, that was done in like October of 2022. So they acquired Change Health Care. Um, Basic shit, man. This was a lack of multi-factor authentication on something that was externally exposed. That was the initial find the vulnerability, compromise the vulnerability, elevating privileges. Half the shit was unpatched. I mean, it was such an easy attack to implement. To And we've known for what, 18, 24 months at least, that most of the ransomware groups are ransoming you, but also exfiltrating data.
Hmm.
So not only did you pay the $22 million, they still have the fucking data. So
Yep. So
you
now
basically just rewarded them for attacking you.
our premiums and shit are gonna go up because you just had to pay all this money. Plus our data's gone. Like we are just kick me down the fucking gutter some more.
Yeah.
What the
Here's my
fuck?
balls. Please kick as hard as you can.
So I had a
And
piggyback.
so going back to really quick to a point that we made earlier. So if I want to get data, if I want to remedy something like this, I can't get the data back, but what I can do is make the data
Change.
no longer useful to the attacker. The one place it's really, really, really fucking hard to do that is healthcare data. I can't change my health.
Right.
So I'm
Yeah.
fucked. And yeah, a third of the population, as Rich
Well,
points
that's
out.
what HIPAA is supposed to do, right? HIPAA with
HIPAA
no
was passed
teeth.
in 1990 fucking 6.
Hippos with no teeth. uh,
1996, the security rule was finalized in 2003, and we're still not doing it.
so I had a question about this one. I know you've been involved in, legal proceedings and stuff like that. You've dealt with lawyers, breaches like I haven't. Um, I was impacted by the Ascension one earlier this year. I so even I'm in security, right? So I knew the next day that this thing happened. But I
Yeah,
just got notified in the mail last week. That's 8 months after the fact.
yeah,
So now, even if I wanted to be proactive and change some things, the attackers already have 8 month fucking head start.
right.
How is that even fair? How does
It's
that
not
even
fair.
happen?
In all the bullshit, while the big players continue to fuck around, the people that really suffer are the people don't even know that they're suffering. Because you were paying attention.
Hmm.
But most people, everyday people, if I ask them about, hey, tell me about the Change Healthcare ransomware attack, they're like, I ain't heard about nothing. Or tell me about, the CrowdStrike attack. Maybe they heard something about that because it was, it affected like their day to day so much. But,
Total
and
impact and
the
stuff, they
thing,
don't know. Yeah.
no, not yet. I mean, they will know when, because the data isn't useful to anybody until they use the data. It's just a commodity now. So it's being traded, you know, it's being sold from one to another, but it doesn't actually become real value until you use it. And so the way you use healthcare data is like health insurance is so damn expensive. You start selling medical identities to people on the street that can't afford health coverage, and they go and get treatment under your health coverage. And that's how they monetize it.
So what we found out here is that compliance doesn't mean anything.
Oh fuck,
However, so I always
you
want
weren't
to.
compliant anyway.
Oh, they
I
weren't.
mean, these guys change healthcare. Fuck no,
Hmm.
not even close. No, well, no, but it's UHG. What are you going to do?
I mean, so I like your lesson here, right? Just because they have money to practice the basics doesn't mean they do. And we know everyone always says, being compliant isn't secure. But I will say, from my experience going between different industries, compliance makes it better.
Yeah,
Not
get you
secure,
closer. Get
it
you
makes
closer,
it
and then just
better.
completely nothing, right?
You still need people that are disruptors, that care, that are going to push you to do the right things. You still
Right.
need that person.
Well, and that's the crazy shit about this, man. If you do the right thing, you end up ahead. All the time and the effort and the money you put forth in doing the right thing, you benefit from it. Not sure there might be a little bump in the cost today, but in the long term, you're big time the winner because just use that one. I mean, there's many places, but just use the one example I used. If complexity is the worst enemy of security, simplify your business. Who doesn't want to simplify their fucking business?
Hmm.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. So Change Healthcare, that one actually really pissed me off. They paid a $22 million ransom, and the attackers were, ALPHV slash Black Cat, again, multi-named ransomware group.
Which was crazy because at the end of last year, their site was taken down by the FBI and they were closed and then they came back in April or something like that.
They have better disaster recovery plans
Oh,
than
fuck yeah.
most companies do.
Yep, totally.
Yeah. They're super resilient. I think and I kind of giggle every time I see like the FBI or Interpol or, whoever announce a new takedown. Just takedown. It's like nobody gives
And
two shits. Yeah, the attackers were probably happy because they didn't want to update that command and control anyway. You know, they've implemented their new code on the new one, so thanks for taking it down so they can switch over.
well, that probably makes sure they don't have to update their infrastructure either. Oh, take over the infrastructure. I'll just build it on the latest and greatest now.
Yeah,
We don't have to
yeah,
test it.
yeah. And I give United Healthcare credit on this Change Healthcare ransomware attack on that attack because they did a good job of just kind of brushing that under the rug. They did awesome PR. Most people, everyday people, had no fucking clue.
Hmm.
Probably still don't to this day. So you have 100 million people in the United States affected by a breach, and it's not just your social security number. It's not just a credit card number. It's your fucking
Medications.
health data,
Yep.
medications, diagnoses,
X-rays, everything.
everything. Like, holy shit. If I was, I mean, yeah,
I, that's good
that's valuable,
blackmail data
valuable
right
data.
there.
Oh, blackmail data. Yeah. I mean, there's tons of information that you could sell. I mean, a healthcare record, you could probably 120 bucks a record, maybe. So 120 times 100 million, talking about $1.2 billion. If you could offload that much data, you'd have to break it down into pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so you also had 94%. So according to American Hospital Association, 94% of the hospitals experienced financial repercussions from this. So not only do you have the data that was lost or stolen and all the impacts that it has, to everyday people, you also have 94% of the hospitals, they experienced financial losses because of this.
They couldn't operate their businesses.
No,
Mm.
no, man. I mean, it's crazy. So, and 60% of those reported daily losses of at least $1 million.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's any place that can afford the losses, it's got to be healthcare, right? I know I'm not paying enough for my healthcare.
Well, so those are the local hospitals, right? What does UHG actually lose? Fucking nothing.
Shit, they didn't lose nothing.
Yeah. And
That
that's
and
what
that's the thing. There's
yeah.
without the accountability, they're not going to change.
Oh,
Why would you change? People only change for one of two reasons. If there's a benefit to them, is significant enough to exceed the effort, or it hurts. If you don't make the shit hurt, who's going to change? All right. So number 4 on the list,
oh boy.
Microsoft
This
email breach by Midnight Blizzard. Do you remember this one? This actually
this
took
was
place
at
in
the beginning of the year.
2023. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
it rolled
Exactly.
over. So because they had to they got away with because the SEC had just posted that new shit where you had to file the 8Ks if you were
Yep.
breached. they got an extension so they didn't have to file it because they found out it was like October or some shit.
Yeah.
And like, dude, they fucking stole their source code.
Yeah.
And people are like still wanting to do business with Microsoft.
But nobody gets away with more shit. I
Yeah,
mean, we talked about a
unbelievable.
lot of other companies that like got away with some shit.
It
Nobody has
gets worse.
ever, not even close. I mean,
Yeah.
God, the shit that Microsoft does that they get away with, I don't know. Man,
Unbelievable.
I've never seen such, and what most people see is just what Microsoft wants you to see, right? The new AI, new whatever the fuck shit, Copilot, this, whatever. I mean, it's all cool. It's all awesome. We can identify things and do blah, blah, blah. Behind the scenes, it's like, it's complete bullshit.
Now, I'm not going to claim that running that business would be easy. I'm sure it's hard as fuck, but that's no excuse to be negligent as fuck either.
Yeah. Well, this was definitely a negligent attack. And Microsoft, again, not going to be held accountable for it.
No, they got new infrastructure bill passed, they get more money.
Right. And Microsoft, I think the last time I checked, because I actually did a lot of OSINT, it was probably 2 years ago. I did a whole bunch of OSINT on Microsoft. Like, I wanted to know how many lawyers they employed.
They have 'em in each state probably.
Oh, dude, they employ, when I did that research, it was like 373 FTE lawyers. And then I couldn't figure out exactly how many retainers they had set up, but I was thinking like three. Holy shit! That's like that alone would make it one of the largest law firms. You
Yeah.
know, they're a software company. What the fuck are you employing so many damn lawyers for?
Yeah, you wouldn't think you need that. But software is
Yeah. So
yeah.
if you don't know about this attack, Midnight Blizzard, Russians. This was Russians. Russians targeted specifically Microsoft's cloud services to gain access. As far as we know, that's the thing. Microsoft never came clean and told us what they
They
actually
never will.
accessed.
It was probably, yeah, who knows.
We have no idea.
The cloud is secure, so it probably wasn't any left open infrastructure.
Oh yeah, the cloud is always secure. I mean, just put
Totally
your shit out
secure.
there. Just trust Microsoft. It's all good. The
All
full.
good.
So this is one of the reasons why cloud. You knew this was going to happen when cloud first started kind of becoming a thing. Is you knew that you would lose visibility into what actually happens. One of the things that I hate in my own infrastructure and the shit that I manage is not having visibility to what the fuck is going on. If I'm actually paying attention, going back to that situational awareness, if I'm paying attention, I'll notice when something's off. Like, what the hell is that?
Hmm.
That wasn't there before. Why is that there? Who put it there? I mean, you don't get any of that. And Microsoft on this particular breach, this is the part that pisses me off more than anything, is that the full extent of this, what was compromised, what data was leaked, was
They don't
never
gotta tell
disclosed
you. Yeah.
and never
Yep.
will be disclosed.
Yep.
Well, that's my fucking shit. What?
Yep.
And if you look at your end user license agreements and everything else that you signed before you jumped into Microsoft, speaking of lawyers,
You can't say
who the
shit.
hell read that?
Yeah. Should have a lawyer present when you had to sign those fucking things.
What's that going to happen though? I mean,
Yeah.
even if you had like a lawyer go against Microsoft, like what are they going to do? So anyway, I mean, I hate to
Microsoft.
be such a Debbie Downer on, the second day of the new year, but it's hopefully when people will start to open their eyes a little bit and they'll be like, we got to change some of this because it's not going to change until the normal people, until the
Has to.
normal people demand change because
Hmm.
your elected officials aren't going to do shit about it because they only want to get reelected until
Oh,
this
you have a
becomes
story about that, don't you? You like asked
yeah,
somebody what his job was or something?
yeah, yeah. And until this becomes an election issue, but you were here in the last election cycle. Did cybersecurity come up? Was it one of the button
They
topics?
use the
No.
same 5 topics all the time,
Right. Women's reproductive
and
rights.
we don't even argue logically. We're arguing between a left foot and a right foot, not like
No, man.
a
It's
human and
it's
an alien. It's fucking
it's
dumb.
it's like complete ignorance.
Yeah.
And and people, when AI first started getting talked about, people were freaked out like AI is going to take over, it's going to control us. It's like you're already being controlled. I mean, you're not paying attention. That's all you need to do is like open your eyes and just pay attention.
Ah, yeah,
All
powerful.
right. So
All
anyway,
right.
thank you, Microsoft.
Snowflake.
So I advised two customers. I don't know if they're customers, friends, large companies, to move back, to start moving things back from the cloud, start going back to on-prem. And the logic there is, if you want to know on a macro level, the best place to go is go to the place where nobody else is going. If everybody's going to the cloud, go away from the cloud. You know what I mean? But people logically do, I think it's this fear of missing out. It's like, everybody go to the cloud then.
I want to play with the new shit. Otherwise, I can't talk at the dinner table.
And they think that there's safety in the herd, but what happens when the herd's running off the cliff?
Well, we didn't we talk about that 2 weeks ago? Like, if you're negligent in the herd, then it's okay.
In terms of negligence, not in terms of being dead.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
you won't be found negligent, but your business tanked. I mean, I'd rather my business not tank and not be negligent. And if you go that route, then logic would take you in places that you're probably not going today. All right. So the Snowflake breach. So this was April to June of 2024. This was a
They just
really big
busted
deal
that
because
guy.
yeah, they did bust two of them. They busted two of them. Connor Riley Mauka and John Aaron
Military guy, right?
Binns. Yeah.
Fucking military's always all over the thing, man. We're crazy bastards.
Well, give these guys some opportunities when they get out of the military. Maybe they wouldn't have to go to crime. You know what I
Sure
mean?
did.
Yeah. And the reason this one did hit me in the face right away because I was actually Ticketmaster. I was buying tickets to the Metallica concert at that time. So yeah, it. So people don't know Snowflake. Snowflake is a hugely popular cloud platform. I mean, there's a lot of shit you can do with Snowflake. I think primarily
Data
infrastructure as a
visualization, right?
service, data visualization. Yeah, a whole bunch of manipulation stuff that you can do built into the platform. It's pretty damn cool. And the thing that sort of sucked with this one is Snowflake, I think, caught a lot of shit for this when really it wasn't Snowflake. It was the
The
customers of Snowflake. When you have customers, prominent companies that got compromised here: AT&T, Ticketmaster, Santander Bank, Advanced Auto Parts, Lending Tree. You don't think these guys have enough resources to secure their shit correctly, i.e., put multi-factor authentication in front of shit? It was basics, again, that were missed. So anyway, the criminal group was called Scattered Spider. The two hackers were Waifu and Urdev. You gotta say it with a lip like that? Urdev. Say it. Urdev.
Urdiv,
Yeah.
Urdiv,
Urdev.
IR Dev. That's
Yeah.
how I read
And,
it. It
yeah.
must have been an incident response.
Or an instant response developer.
I don't know what that means.
I don't either know what that is.
John
Eh,
Aaron Bins with two N.
yeah, not a
Logan.
do not fucking refer to me as a one N bin.
No, I'm a two N bin.
I'm a two N bin, bitch.
Two
All right.
N's.
Two ends. Oh, and this one was, yeah. So AT&T reported that phone and text logs from May to October 2022 for nearly all of its customers were exposed.
I think
Shit.
another reason this one was crazy too is because when they initially released it, they said there was like 3 or 4 companies that were impacted, and it just like kept snowballing on
It
top
did,
of
didn't
the
it?
snowflake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ticketmaster was one of the first ones, I think. And then Santander Bank, I live in Mexico, and Santander Bank is really big down here. So it caught attention of the Mexicans, here. Yeah, it's a shitty one. Anyway, so that was number 5 on the list. Number 6, North Korea. Gotta love those North Koreans. No, don't love them. But they're determined little sons of bitches, aren't they?
Yes, they are. They're very opportunistic. They do stuff slow, big scale.
But you would expect this, man. When you put somebody into a corner, sanctions, right? Isolate them, make them like they do desperate shit
Hmm.
and crafty shit because it's a matter of survival. So the crafty shit they did in 2024 is I had $1.34 billion in cryptocurrency that they had stolen this year and funneled that money mostly towards their weapons programs. And the more research I did, and I didn't update the blog post, it was more like 2.5 maybe
Well,
billion
crypto
dollars.
jumped towards the end of the year too, so it probably closer to 3.
Yeah, it's crazy how unsecure so many crypto places are. I'm not a big crypto guy because I just don't feel like playing that game.
It's kind of fucking bullshit, but
Well, I mean, if I studied it enough, but I mean, I think I'd have better luck myself if I went to like Vegas, maybe.
so I'm a little confused on this, and maybe I'm not like a huge criminal, I guess, but like you're stealing billions in crypto. So now you have all this crypto. How are they still need to get money so they can buy weapons or research or something? How are they cashing? Someone's got to buy that from them so then they can spend it on things.
Well, it's the same way you launder, U.S. dollars. You launder crypto. So you pay somebody else who pays somebody else for something legit. So it's not tied back to you
Mm,
know the North Koreans.
takes a long time.
And then the money comes back and they take their cuts. And North Korea, they may have stolen 2.5 billion, but maybe they only received and cashed 2 billion. The rest of the money was used for laundering.
Hmm, interesting.
Yeah, it can
So,
get pretty complicated.
where did they get this from? Was
Oh,
it
I
different platforms or all in one? Because I just watched the
they went after exchanges pretty much
I just
instead of
watched
individual wallets.
Netflix has that documentary, the greatest fucking crypto hacker or whatever about FinFX or whatever. That those two people stole like fucking 4 billion from there. They
Yeah,
just got sentenced. But yes, yeah. So people are putting their crypto on the exchanges, and this it goes back to like doing things right and then convenience, right? The whole point of crypto
right.
is that you can own it so you could take it off, like basically having your money in your pocket. But people aren't doing that. They're still just keeping it in a central place. It's not a bank, but it's still a central place. And you're not securing your fucking account. It's the same thing.
Well, exchanges is mostly used for transactions. Facilitating the transactions. Where the crypto is actually stored is in your crypto wallet.
Oh, right.
So they're
You're smart. You're
they're.
more hip than I am on this.
I'm not very hip, dude. No, I'm an old guy. But they went after the exchanges because
They
if we
take
could compromise the
cuts.
exchange, they could skim or just funnel what was meant to be this transaction actually was pointed in to my wallet.
Right. Because that's got to be scary, like putting in a transaction to your wallet. Like you type a number wrong or a letter wrong,
Yeah,
goes
maybe.
somewhere else, disappears. Yeah.
Yeah. But the interesting thing, and the reason why I made the list was this is the first time that I recall um, people using or a government using crypto to fund weapons programs.
Mm.
And it may not, and $1.32 billion in terms of like,
Our
I mean,
budget doesn't seem like anything, but
Well, I think, yeah, what's our budget? Like 880 billion or something, I think, our
For them,
defense
that's
budget.
probably a lot.
Exactly. I mean, is it enough to buy a nuke?
Yeah.
How many fucking nukes do you need?
Yeah. One.
Yeah. I mean, the thing with the US, yeah, we've got thousands of nukes, but shit, you only need one.
Yeah.
So, but this is the first time I've seen, where the platforms, yeah, used to fund weapons programs. I mean, just you think about that. Like, what the fuck? When I started in this industry, did I ever think, would I have ever predicted that we would have created something where you could attack it and
Use
create a weapon?
software. Use
A
software
weapon?
code to buy
Yeah,
a weapon.
to
Yeah.
buy weapons, big weapons.
Yeah.
And so, when you look at
And
these things
there's
too,
there's so many currencies. So this is just going to get bigger because there's more and more currencies, more and more exchanges popping up. All these influencers on the
yep,
on the teeters and the Twitters and whatever. They're just like,
yep,
I became a millionaire overnight. Okay, sure.
yeah, that's the thing. Everybody's going so damn fast, and everybody's focused on whatever, if it's maybe greed, making a bunch of money, just you're so focused on that, you didn't even pay attention to the other shit that was going on. It's crazy. It's bad. Right. And all these. So when you look at these, and so the next blog post and what we'll be talking about next week is predictions for 2025.
I
So pay attention to
surprisingly,
trends that are in this.
surprisingly, I have not seen very many. Usually, every year, like every influencer in the world is putting that shit out there. I feel like people
Yeah.
might start to get it. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
Anyway,
and that one takes a long time to build too. I mean, you start with like, all right, this is what I'm thinking. And then you go try to find data to support what I'm thinking. Then you find out that shit, all right, that's probably not going to happen. Because the thing is I've always said that the worst decisions you make are the ones with shitty context or no context.
mhm.
And the way you get the best context is from multiple perspectives. So I've only got my perspective from where I sit. This is what I think is going to happen next year. But then you start looking at other perspectives and you're like, yeah, I think I'm full of shit. I don't think that is going to happen. So it's actually, I mean, if you want to do it right, I think it's a lot of work to do prediction shit. You don't just pull shit out of your ass. But I think a lot of influencers probably have over the years just pulled shit out of their ass. Yeah, it's, like if I see another fucking influencer say the cybersecurity talent shortage is going to get worse in 2025. I want to find out who that person is. And
We don't
I
have
don't
a
know.
cyber shortage. We have a IT basic knowledge shortage.
Yeah, we have a critical thinking shortage. Yeah.
I don't want to know about networks or applications. I just want to know fucking hacking. All right,
Yeah.
cool.
And pay me a shitload of money for it,
Yeah,
please.
yeah, man, cool.
Yeah. Look at this cool shit I did. I hacked this thing. I hacked an iRobot. I'm like,
Yeah, great.
the fuck's that going to do for our business?
You cool, man. You cool.
Yeah. All
So
right.
number 7, I didn't hear about this one either.
You didn't hear about NPD?
Mm-mm.
Oh, dude, this was huge. It was like 3 billion records. Billion records. 170 million people were affected across the US, UK, and Canada, primarily. So NPD was this huge data brokerage. And that's the thing about data brokerage houses. Most people never hear about them.
Oh, they're like the third parties that. Okay, yeah, yeah,
Just
yeah.
collect a shitload of fucking data,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can subscribe to access the data, or they can sell you the data. But oh my God, and that's the thing that frustrates me about data is everybody says that data is an asset. And I agree that it's an asset. Then why doesn't it show up on balance sheets?
I actually asked. You said that a little while ago, year ago, whatever, and I asked someone at my business that, and they looked
Mm-hmm.
at me like I was crazy.
My other assets are on balance sheets.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, NPD, huge data brokerage, and most people have never heard of NPD because it was in the background. but it was
Right. It's
used
all your
for
apps and shit. They're collecting data and selling it, or they're giving it to them, or whatever.
one. It was super sensitive data too because they were used by background checks, fraud prevention.
Yeah, that background check thing. That's some crazy data there.
Yeah, and so yeah, the breach took place. I don't know. I don't know if they ever found out who was responsible. I don't recall ever hearing who was responsible. Just that they found it, they responded to it. That's it.
Cleaned up.
Yeah, 2.9 billion records, sensitive personal information. Some of that stuff again, I can't change. I can't change.
Where I used to live. Where I
Yeah,
used
and
to work.
I can't change my criminal record either. I mean, just shit that could be used against me. Yeah, that's a big deal.
That's a lot. 2.9 billion. That's like so. Not
Yeah.
we're not talking a third of the U.S. We're talking a third of the fucking world
Well, no,
in
2.9
records. Yeah,
records, 170 million people.
yeah. Third of the
So,
country. Yeah.
but if you take US, UK, Canada, I don't know what we're 35 million. UK's, I don't know what, you don't know those two countries, but it's probably a third. It's bad shit, dude. And again, I don't know what's going to. I know there's one of the links I provided in on the blog post is classaction.org. That's actually a pretty good website to go to see what class action lawsuits are taking place or kind of in process. So there is a class action lawsuit. It was filed on August 1st, 2024 against NPD.
This is kind of interesting. I like this site. I was actually thinking about like what would be a cool Twitter bot to make. This would be some cool data to put
Yeah.
out on a Twitter bot.
Well, and this is like, that's another place I think when you talk about third party information security risk management, I think one of the things that people don't check enough is things like, is this company currently in a lawsuit? Is there a class action? Is there something big happening? Yeah, it's going to affect the relationship probably. All right. So anyway, NPD, that made number 7. And the reason why it made number 7 was just the sheer volume. I mean, damn near 3 billion records. How can that not make a list? Number 8 made the list because of pretty much the tech companies that were compromised in this one. And it was pretty damn sophisticated. So number 8 is Intel brokers.
This guy's been around a while.
Yeah, he's been doing some pretty nasty shit.
Wasn't that Intel broker the FBI or CIA tool stealer?
No, that's
I thought that was the same person.
It's not Intel broker. It's I can't remember, but I can figure it out. You're talking about Deep Blue and all that shit?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it wasn't them. It wasn't Intel broker. But anyway, 2024 Intel broker, super high profile breaches of tech companies. And the 3 that I included in the example were Cisco, AMD, and Apple. From Cisco alone, just Cisco, 4.5 terabytes of sensitive data was exfiltrated.
That's so much fucking. That's a lot.
Well, I'm going back to like the basics, right? I preach this all the time.
Notice that leaving your shit.
Right? I mean, you talk about the proper way to use a firewall, right? Is restrict ingress and egress. Right? Yes, I know it's a lot of work, but shit, we get paid for it, and it's the right way to do shit. So we should do it the right way, as opposed to what we typically do is just put more band-aids on bullet wounds, right? And so Cisco should fucking know how a firewall works, I would think.
That's kind of what they started with, no?
Or yeah.
Did they start with
so
network equipment?
If you were doing proper egress filtering, do you not think, how would 4.5 terabytes of sensitive data leave your network?
They just picked up the server and walked out with it.
Yeah, and it included source code, source code. And this one was funny. Hard coded credentials.
Oh yeah, that's you can
We
Google
don't
that shit, but
we don't hard code credentials. Come on, man.
no one
API
ever does that.
tokens, confidential documents. The AMD breach,
I
full
didn't hear about that.
future products, employee databases, customer information, source code, firmware, and financial records. And both of these were offered. All of this in pieces or in whole was offered for sale in the dark web marketplaces. Apple. Did anybody hear about Apple getting?
No, Apple you never hear about. That's
The cool
crazy.
thing about at least this one was there was, as far as we know, there was no source code stolen for Apple products, just source code for some of their internal tools. But those are big companies, man, that you'd think,
Hmm.
holy shit. Because I think sometimes what people think
That's the largest
is,
company in the second largest company in the fucking world.
what's the
Apple.
biggest now?
Well, I would say Microsoft's probably the biggest.
Fucking Microsoft. I
Microsoft,
mean,
Apple, Facebook, top three, right?
I'm not an Apple fanboy, but at least Apple's better.
Their shit works, man.
Well, and the name of the game isn't risk elimination. The name of the game is risk management, right? So bad that shit is going to happen. So don't be surprised when bad shit happens. But when bad shit happens, do I have something in place to detect the bad shit that happened? And then what would I do to respond to the bad shit that happened? But when
Yep.
you see 4.5 terabytes of data leaving your network, why did it take that before you recognized that the bad shit had happened? I don't know, man. But that's why I made the list. 9, we talked about the Iron Net collapse.
Yeah,
Give me,
they
what would that
collapsed.
be like? Like, give me $3 billion.
And then
No,
just
just
I'll go party, I guess. I
I'll go.
mean,
Yeah, just
you
fuck
can't
it.
even party with $3 billion. Like, dude,
Well, I could party with $3 billion.
that's a lot of. I can't even imagine spending $1 million in the next 30 years. How the fuck? Unless you're like buying a million
Yeah,
dollar bottle of fucking wine, which who needs that shit?
I read last week Jeff Bezos is getting married again. Yeah, and somehow it leaked, and I don't know if it's true. I didn't validate the information, so take that with a grain of salt. But his he's planning a $600 million wedding.
I'll take pictures for that wedding for 10 grand.
$600 million wedding. I mean, I live.
I know a
You've been.
photographer that might need some work.
I mean, dude, you've been to my house, right? And you see the
Hmm.
shit that I have. I don't. I, it's. I mean, it's like this much of a fraction
Of that.
of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
What would I do with more? I mean, what the fuck would I do, man? I mean, do I need another drone? Do I need more of these fucking glasses?
A pair of glasses for every room you're in.
I
Special
need more
ones.
meta glasses, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, let's do that then. It's just crazy. But anyway, yeah, Iron Net.
And
There you
that's
go.
just a
Number.
wedding. That's not like his overall money.
Oh, dude, no, no.
That's fucking.
But I can't imagine spending $600 million on a wedding. Wow. All right
That's
then.
just
Good for you.
that's just straight up arrogance and fuck you
Yeah.
to the world. Like
Well, and I don't
really?
fault him for doing it. I mean, if you got that kind of money and you want to spend it, you go right ahead,
Yeah,
brother.
that's fine.
Enjoy it. But and I actually appreciate more that you're spending it as
Instead of
opposed to
just
just
sitting on it.
keeping it. Yeah. Because at
Right.
least that $600 million that you're spending, other people
Back
are going to
into
receive it, you
right.
know? So I guess I'm not upset about it. I try to put that into my mind. Like, how much fucking money is that? I can't even fathom. I mean, it's a lot. I know that. And I'm a pretty good math guy. I can figure that shit out too. But I just like, what would I do with it? And how would whatever.
So like $3 billion, right? You could
Yeah,
spend $100,000 a month for fucking the rest of your life and not even touch it.
sure. Why not? Let's do it. All right, number 10, the last one on my list of the top 10 cybersecurity stories of 2024 is enhanced cybersecurity regulations for healthcare providers. This one made the list because it's causing a lot of shakeup right now in healthcare, which is, I don't know if I like it or not. I just typically the government doesn't do anything right, so I don't have a lot of faith in the shit that they're doing.
Yeah.
But it's at least it's causing some. The last time I saw a big
People are
movement in
getting
health,
nervous in their chair. The people at the top.
well, the biggest movement you saw in healthcare information security in the last 30 years, it came from um, meaningful use requirements. So meaningful use requirements, Department of Health and Human Services came out with, there wasn't enough hospitals that were adopting electronic health records. And so the federal government would offer healthcare providers money to implement electronic health records, an EHR system. But they had to meet these meaningful use requirements to do so. And the last one, number 15 on the meaningful use requirements, was to conduct an information security risk assessment in accordance with HIPAA. Well, then everybody wanted to do a fucking, it was huge,
Do a
but it
risk
wasn't
assessment.
right, which was in the law since 96 anyway. But it just proved that there's two ways you can approach it. You can do the punitive one, like if you don't do this, we're going to fuck you up. Or, all right, we're going to incent you to do it. So I kind of like that. It's the first time I really saw in the industry an incentive to do it, where you're going to give me money to do security shit. It
Well, you
worked.
shouldn't need money. You should just do it because it's the fucking right thing to do.
Well, I
Because
wish
not
there were more
everyone's
people.
cut from the same cloth, I guess.
Well, at least we are, though. You know what I mean? I think that's what keeps us honest. It would be easy to, if we were on the bad side of this game, if we had no scruples, we'd be multi-millionaires.
It's easy to do the bad shit.
Yeah.
Like after watching that documentary, I'm like, dude, I should just try and rob some fucking crypto. Like,
right. But you've got scruples.
yeah.
You're on the good team.
Mm-hmm.
So among the
So
regulations,
let's add a number 11. Or are you still talking about this one?
No, well, just for what we're talking about with the enhanced regulations and healthcare providers, there were three primary things that happened in 2024. If anybody was paying attention, one was the Healthcare Cybersecurity Act of 2024. That one was introduced, a bipartisan group. So, with Trump coming into office, who knows if he's going to sign it or not. But there was also the Healthcare Cybersecurity and Resiliency Act of 2024. And then a whole bunch of proposed HIPAA updates, which you don't need to fucking update HIPAA. Just enforce fucking HIPAA. It's
that's
you
what
don't
we
need
always
more laws. It's already written into the damn law.
That's what we always do, though. It's a new act, new legislation, new.
You know why? Because that's what gets you reelected.
Because it's a facade that you're getting something accomplished. Because
Yep. And the only reason why it took, and there's a purpose, or a really good reason why it's only in healthcare, is because that's what people are paying attention to. That's what they're seeing.
It should just be the Cybersecurity Act. It should be for fucking everybody.
The fact that we don't have a nationwide, privacy law in the year 2025 is, it's like, what the fuck are we doing? All right, so you wanted to add number 11. What you got, man?
The SEC law.
SEC. There was a SEC law.
Yeah.
You sure it wasn't SECS? Then we could call it the sex law.
It could be.
Sounds sexier.
I don't know the name of the fucking thing or anything.
But you wanted to present this as the 10th one or 11th one.
Yes, I was totally unprepared to do so. So that's what we do. We just fucking go with it.
Dude, I'm with you. I feel you, man.
It's where you have to file the 8K thing when you have a breach.
Uh-huh.
the mandatory filing with the SEC. So what I found interesting about this is you have to announce. I think it's within 4 business days. You have to file with the SEC, tell them you had a breach with this 8K
Oh,
form.
and by the way, this was 2023.
It got implemented January of 24 though. It was
No,
active.
December 18th, 2023.
Really? I thought it was okay. I thought it was January.
No, I'm just kidding. I mean, I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. It really was December 8th, 18th, 2023. But I get you. I feel
Yeah.
you.
But yes, so
Sure.
what was interesting is right away after this was implemented, a couple of the threat actors were filing on their
Oh,
victims.
nice.
So you essentially, everyone talks about double extortion, right?
Hmm.
Ransom data. Now you almost have a triple where we're filing a lawsuit against you because you're not adhering to the rules.
Right.
Like that's pretty intense.
It is intense, man.
Surprised there's not more of that.
No, I mean, just follow the money, man. It's the attackers that we face, the money motivated attackers, are better at business than we are.
Well,
You
because they don't
know,
have to manage people or
well, they do, but
budgets.
it's all there's no law. I mean, they don't have to abide by the laws and regulations and the bullshit. They just
They don't care
run
about
really
HR.
efficient, run really efficient, businesses. And so, if you want to know where the money is, it's what's going to give them the biggest return on the investment. Least amount of work with the greatest return. And it's still ransomware. It'll be ransomware for a while, and it was so easy for them just to add on the data exfiltration piece because,
You're
like,
reacting, looking somewhere else, right?
well, because people started getting better at, backing up and restoring their data. And, I'm not going to pay the ransom, you know, which, yeah, I wouldn't pay the ransom either. But hopefully they wouldn't exfiltrate the data. But again, I mean, what would I do if they did? I mean, you got to think that way. I mean, you think that way. Hopefully people think that way, with their life, their house, their life. Like, what would I do if there was a fire in my house today? What would I do if somebody broke into my house? I mean, do people think like that, or is it just weird people like us?
Probably just weird people like us. I think you guys talked about this on the shit show. I don't know, one of those early episodes. Not
Yeah.
everyone has inner dialogue. So a lot of people are just walking around like whistling in their head. Fucking air just flying
See, but I
through.
never, I never had that. Ryan brought that shit up, and I never asked Ryan to actually back it up. Like, give me something to show me,
I saw
because
a
he
bunch
he,
of
he was
write-ups. I
claiming
didn't
that it
see
was
data,
something.
but
He was claiming it was something that couldn't be taught.
hmm.
If that's true, well then, yeah, we're pretty fucked. I mean, not me, but others, I guess.
Do you think um
It's got to be taught.
what you call it?
It's a
Only
great candy bar.
only kids, only childs
Only
have a
child's.
yeah.
Oh, me?
Being
Only.
an only
Oh,
child, you better if it can't be taught, it can be developed. I would think you're better chances of developing it if you're by yourself.
yeah, they've done a lot of studies on situational awareness, and it can be taught. And just situational awareness alone, I think, is a huge input into, what I would do to prevent. I mean, because part of situational awareness, right? When you come into a room, you look around the room, like, are there threats?
Threats,
Yeah, are there threats
exits.
here? Yeah. And so that's the same type of planning I would use, you know, in my situational awareness. Well, the fire department isn't close by. What would I do if there was a fire? I mean, it's just this preparation piece. I don't know. All right. Well, that does it for our list, man. What did you think?
I thought this was awesome. You came up with some things that I did not remember or even hear of, so that was cool. Uh,
Yeah. One of the
and I
reasons I
think
like,
at the end of the day, it's all the same shit though.
yeah,
Basics.
pretty
Stop
much
overcomplicating it.
change the company's names.
Don't use technology to try and solve your business problem.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the CrowdStrike thing. How many? That was your perfect opportunity to get your asset inventory squared the fuck away. How many people have an up to date asset inventory now?
It's a good question, man. It's a really good question. Well, and I do like the reason why I've traditionally done these, whether I finished the post or not, is I think there's a lot of value in reflection. Looking back on it, some time period, whether it be a year, 5 years, a month, and just like, what did I learn? Yeah, a whole bunch of shit happened last year, but the whole point of my life is to be a better person today than I was before. So a year has passed. Am I better off? Am I a better person? And if I'm paying attention and doing these things like reflecting, then it just feeds into that.
Do you
You
think
know,
organizations stop and reflect?
I think some do. I think some do. I think, some organizations have year end stuff. Usually it's financially motivated or whatever the business goals were. It's like, did we meet it? Did we not meet it? Uh,
So
yeah,
what
I
I
think they
always
do.
hear is what are our peers doing? So they don't
What are our peers doing?
what are our peers doing? Yes. I
Okay.
think when we think about cyber as cyber or information security, right? It's one
Yeah.
giant game. Everyone's connected. But an organization still pulls out one chapter and only wants to look at their competitors. They don't feel like they're in the game with everybody else. So even though things are happening to other industries, right? CrowdStrike, UKG, whatever, how many organizations are looking at themselves or not because their competition isn't impacted?
I don't know, man. I mean, that's a management philosophy. You know what I mean? And there's a motivation and a question behind the question. I've always taken the approach that, I mean, and I'd always had this approach, but it wasn't until I heard it. I think it was, I don't remember who I heard it from, some athlete somewhere. But anyway, winners focus on winning and losers focus on winners. So why
Hmm.
do I give two shits about what the competition is doing? That's not the win. The win is looking at myself and being the best me I can be. So leading a company, what's the best we can be?
Hmm.
Right. And if you focus on just being the best you can be, who gives a shit what the competition's doing? You know what I mean? Because if the competition is busy looking at you or looking at others, they're missing out on all the opportunities anyway to bring out your best, right? To, be creative.
Right. They're just chasing
Yeah.
customers or they're trying to take customers or be competitive product instead of utilizing what you already have to be the best you.
That's the only thing I'm ever going to be guaranteed of being is the best me. I'm never going to be the best hacker. I'm never going to be the best CEO. I'm never going to be able to be the best father. I'm never going to be the best anything except for the best me. So why would I fucking try to do anything else? Does that make sense?
Hmm.
You feel me, dog, right?
I feel you. Peace.
All right. Peace. All right. So next week we've got
Predictions.
predictions. So I'm gonna create another list of 10 predictions. Feel free to, bring your own. So if you're gonna bring the SEC one, you got to have some
I
reference
gotta be
there.
prepared. None of this fuck off
Yeah.
bullshit.
But I love doing this. I love doing this with you, man, because you're a real dude, and I like talking with you. You're a cool cat.
I appreciate
Um,
you.
appreciate you too. Somebody told me today to say hi to you. Say hi to you from them.
Oh,
I don't remember who it was. I might have to text you later. All right, brother.
groovy. All right.
Next week.
Next week I'll be here.
All right.
Peace out. Thank you, everybody.
There you go, man.
Rah rah rah.